I was really fiending to crack out and make this video because I know somebody else out there. You may not have to be a fan of the San Antonio Spurs. You have to have the same mindset when it comes to Stephon Castle and his future in the league. His future is bright as hell. I don't know about you, but for myself, agree with me. I can envision Stephon Castle not only being a future multiple-time NBA All-Star in this league, I can envision him being a future multiple-time All-NBA guard. Will he be a one? Well, that shit don't matter. They put him in guards, forward, center, yeah. But an All-NBA guard. Let me not stutter, excuse me. Just 21 years old. We've seen him hoist the NBA Rookie of the Year honors for last season, as well as the Rising Stars Challenge MVP for last season's All-Star Weekend in San Fran. He's in his sophomore season playing with the pros. This is the Spurs' first run for a title under the Victor Wembanyama era. The first go for a title. And they're not quite there at the big dance just yet. They're down 2-1 to OKC in the Western Finals, but they're going band for band, and they dominated them. They conquered them in the regular season. But right now, we see him going band for band alongside the 22-year-old Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, 21 himself, and a 20-year-old Dylan Harper, rookie. And they're being a pain in the absolute ass, a pest to the reigning champions. Castle himself this season in his sophomore season, 4 triple-doubles. He had a 40-12-12 game, shooting 79% in the process. And you look at stat lines like that, you look at numbers like that, you look and see what Stephon Castle has in his repertoire as a young and developing player, how much potential he has in this league to be a future primary ball handler, not leading the offense just yet. For an 82-game scale, no. Fox still needs to be there. There's been some circulation from, people on the interwebs and, public forums and, tweeting this and that, like, hey, Stephon Castle trailing at this point in time and this time span, he didn't necessarily do so bad as a playmaker, as the team's primary playmaker. Are we sure the Spurs need De'Aaron Fox? Trust me, you guys still do need De'Aaron Fox. I don't really know if it's been Spurs fans saying that. See, my big flaw is I look at what some, I don't want to call them yahoos, but, you at user 239X, 000, and it's like, hey, blah, 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 and also some other talking heads online. Do they do it professionally or do they just do this for the passion? I don't know, but it makes for content. Stephon Castle is not ready to be the Spurs starting point guard. Not on an 82-game slate with the postseason. No. If he has to come in and fill in for 2 or 3 regular season games, yes, he can do it. For a playoff slate and a full season slate, no. But back to what I was saying. He has a lot of potential being a future primary ball handler. There's still going to be time there. Definitely a facilitator. And even, do I want to go as far as to say one of the best two-way players? Two-way guard, maybe. And he's doing that alongside his teammate Victor Wembanyama. Damn. How the Castle and Wemby on one team, man. How the hell do we let that happen? Damn, that's terrifying. You know what? Stephon Castle reminds me of I cracked out and amped up Drew Holiday. He's got the size. Castle's 6'6". He plays that point of attack defense. And here's where it draws back. And this is one of the best parts about Castle's game. He's a playmaker, but he's still slowly improving and he's becoming more consistent. And there's still a huge stride to make in his junior season, his 3rd season. But he reminds me of a more cracked out Drew Holiday because, buddy, he's got the bounce. He's got the bunnies. He's got the hops. And I don't know if this needs to be addressed. And pardon my French, kindly pardon my French. The San Antonio Spurs are fucking terrifying. And what's funny about it is they're just getting started. I mentioned the ages. Wemby 22, Castle 21, Harper 20. They are just now getting started with the wrath they will commence on, do I want to say the Western Conference? Yes, but just the league as a whole. But, no, Spurs talk aside, Stephon Castle, this is about Stephon Castle. The future's bright. He's got a lot of humps he needs to leap over to do so. And I'm not discrediting the stride he took to step up when De'Aaron Fox was ruled out the first 2 games of the Western Conference Finals. But I've noticed, catching up with some Spurs basketball this year, even with those 2 on the court, with Fox leading the attack at the 1 and Stephon Castle playing down at the 2. And this is where I'm drawing, Fox does not, you guys traded for Fox last year. Give it time to mellow out. Castle's still on his rookie deal. Harper's on a rookie deal. Why are we rushing shit? Let it mellow out. Castle and Fox very well complement each other, particularly eyeing up Stephon Castle. We know De'Aaron Fox, fast. His nickname's Swiper. He's a slashing guard. He has the capability to spot up from 3 and shoot. But what is his primary mover? His primary mover is, I'm going to get off the cup, off my speed, my acceleration, and, teams don't necessarily eye up his 3-point shooting on his scattering board. They do, but is that, a high priority? Is that going to be, one of the first, boxes, check marks? No. And you wouldn't necessarily say so for Stephon Castle as well. And this is where I'm drawing out about some of those humps. And it's not really a hump, but if I want to get so aggressive and assertive to say, yes, Stephon Castle is going to be an all-NBA guard in the future, he will have to improve at being a shooter, not really going for the floater, not really going for contact inside. Yes, he can still do what he's great at when it comes to scoring, but finding a good touch shooting outside the floor. And the one thing the Spurs have done very well this year is Stephon Castle has had the floor opened up to him for threes on, you take a 2-man guard set between he and Fox. That's going to immensely open up the quality of his looks. Castle's still relatively just average. And yes, he might be average at threes. And if he can, what bigger strike can he take shooting in the interior? But if he can just take that little step, I'm not saying he has to completely flip his play style and flip his tendencies and flip his shot selection. But if he can just improve those percentages just a smidge and not be so average. Now, they've been average the first 2 seasons, but just a smidge. What's that going to hurt? Also, when you have a guy like Victor Wembanyama on your team, that's always going to be huge asset itself because, hey, that's going to open up the quality and the tendency to fire more from outside the arc because where is everybody else going to be? They're going to be playing in the paint in the interior. So, let's say your team gets out in transition, the opposing team plays drop coverage, they're going to set guys out to the elbow and the gaps, and you get the opportunity to just catch and shoot a 3. You don't have to take any dribbles. You stop on the wing, transition, you catch it, and you shoot it. It's that easy. Even if it's just being not a movement shooter, but a stationary shooter. That little stride, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, will that be enough to be, am I being drastic saying he can be all NBA? All-star, no. But just that little bit. The quality is there. But if he can capitalize just a smidge more, that's a big needle mover. And I went through and I rewinded and I rewatched the Spurs series against the Timberwolves. They'd have times where Castle is utilized as the ball handler to be setting up half-court offense. We set Castle a screen on the key. The defender doesn't ice it. Then Castle just pulls up and he goes for it. So he's got the guts as a potential shooter. And, when you have a versatile and abnormally mobile center, Victor Wembanyama, that will always be matched as a lob threat with your playmaking and with your improving vision, making cuts on reads or making reads on cuts, the door is there to have a powerful 1-2 punch. He's a young player that prioritizes team basketball, which is great, yet prioritizes the punch with his scoring to make the Spurs a great team. Now, with playing team basketball comes not turning the ball over so excessively. That is his counterweight to being, that's why I say he's not ready for an 82-game slate plus the postseason. That is his counterweight to being such a feisty playmaker and a ball mover at his age and his experience level. Great. He'll get you the assists. He'll get you the numbers. But guess what? He'll get you 10 assists. But guess what? He'll par with 10 turnovers as well. He'll get you 20 assists. But give or take, he might give you 20 turnovers. God damn, man. 20 turnovers as well. Speaking of 20 turnovers, he had 20 turnovers in his goddamn son. I just said that, didn't I? I'm going to keep that part in. He had 20 turnovers in the first 2 games of the Western Conference Finals. So I played the Spurs ran in game 1. We had Castle as the ball handler. We had Harrison Barnes going to set a screen over on that right wing. Castle denied it with a spin move, and Barnes took an extra step. Not an illegal screen, but he took that extra step, went back to stationary to try to jail and trap AJ Mitchell behind Castle. And I think the motive was to try to get Castle a look more driving to the baseline. Chad Holmgren iced a screen. He retained with Castle's drive. You had Isaiah Hartenstein rotate from the left low block. Now he's going to play underneath the rack. Now Castle's a little bit screwed because now he's going to dribble into essentially 3 guys with the objective of, man, I wonder if I can probably nosy this over to Devin Vassell on the left side corner, the opposite side quarter. And he went for it. Obviously, the pass got pinballed around. Jared McCain got the turnover, went down coast to coast, activated bully ball Luke Cornett, and the Thunder got 2 points off a turnover. Hey, look, I mean, I can give Castle all the grace he wants. You know, I understand you're playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got a Casey Wallace. They got an AJ Mitchell. They got Alex Caruso. And you're stepping up, and yes, not only are you guarding Shea as the POA defender, but goddamn, you gotta run the floor on the other end as well. Damn, man, 20? That's a reach through 2 games. Great. Hey, they won game 1. They're only down 2-1. If they're down 3-0, okay, that might be a different story. In their first playoffs, yeah, there could maybe be grace given. Although they were second seed in the West, they had 60 wins, so is there? I'll let you answer that for me. Game 1 for himself was just pure sloppy Joe. Lost the ball a few times, just quite literally just dribbling and driving downhill. One case he was one-on-one against Chet out in transition, and he dribbled to the elbow. He gave a bump to Chet in assumption that maybe doing like a, I don't know, he wanted to do like a front crossover or, you know, do like a little light Euro step into a floater or a kick out. Him with that front crossover I mentioned, where he'll have no protection, like off a screen, off another body, and he has a defender in his face. That's been kind of another flaw in why his turnover and broken position numbers have been a spike as well. Though I don't have those numbers out in front of me, but seeing how many possessions of plays have been broken up, they've had to reset, and also him just turning the ball over have occurred just by being sloppy and in some moments not using his head, maybe a little bit fatigued, but, you know, yada, yada. Still in game 1, this is a play. It was 97-97, just over a minute to go. Spurs run a screen and roll between Castle and Victor Wembanyama. Castle stops his dribble. He's going to try to find Wemby over on like a high arc pass at the stripe, and Jalen Williams is locking the absolute brakes off of Victor Wembanyama. Now, it wasn't a foul, though. I mean, this whole Spurs and Thunder series has been a game of grab ass. And I posted a TikTok talking about, hey, you know, the Thunder have this identity of playing like this, and that's part of their identity. That's part of their brand. The Spurs can return the same favor. And if it's going to be like that, don't call any fouls, and don't be one-sided, and don't be lopsided. And people looked at me like I was the dumbass. Granted, hey, I'm not the smartest fan in the book. I don't want to say I'm casual. Well, there's some moments I can be casual, but I love talking about the game. I love studying the game. I love talking about the game. Anything wrong with that? No. Back to the play. Castle looking for a Wemby on that high arc pass on the charity stripe. And yes, Jalen Williams is locking the absolute hell out of Wemby. No foul, lots of contact, definitely. But if J-Dub was pinning down Wemby's left arm, going through and rewatching that again, to prevent him from getting that very low thrown pass, Wemby standards, then yes, it would have been a foul. Game 1 was a pure heart attack. He had a few sloppy passes to, you know, even Wemby on a cut, losing the ball off of dribbling, getting it with contact. Guess what? You still won, though. Nevertheless, he's still a young player. He's going to be stupid. Respectfully, stupid like that. He's got the IQ, potentially. You know, just remember, this is the Western Conference Finals we're witnessing. Granted, Castle is an NCAA champion. That still might fold over a little bit. When you have to guard the league MVP or an AJ Mitchell or this and a that, and then run the floor for your team with the absence of Fox, who is now back, then shit's going to hit the fan a little bit. Now, here's where I'll give Stephon Castle a little bit of praise. We talked about the playmaking. He can maybe improve just a smidge bit when it comes to his outside and perimeter shooting. This might also feed in with the turnover game as well, but he'll commonly play that master manipulator game with his eyes. He'll run a pick and roll. His eyes will be on, as a ball handler, his eyes will be on the cutter. And then you have another guy playing off the ball that rotates into the position to fare with Castle's court mapping ability to get a catch on the wing and get the shot. So yes, you're fooling the defense essentially. There was a play in game 2 where Vassell set a high screen for Castle on Alex Caruso. Luke Cornett made a cut from the right wing to the cup for the sake of manipulating the defense. So you're going to make J-Dub shift from the weak side to underneath the cup, since Jalen Williams has to drop back on Cornett, and Castle had his eyes locked on Cornett. There's that manipulation I'm bringing up. But he wanted to kick it out to Keldon Johnson now in that left corner. And instead, he dined it over to J-Dub, and the Thunder had a 2-on-1 fast break because of it. So with the ever-improving IQ that Castle has, I don't see him being turnover prone much longer. Yeah, granted, I mean, look at guys like Trae Young. He's one of the most, if you want to say, hey, who are some of the best playmaking guards out in the league? You might think Tyrese Halliburton. You can say Trae Young. Trae Young's still very turnover prone. He'll get you tons of assists, but will he necessarily par it with turnovers? He can some nights, definitely. Then again, Castle makes up for it with his size and his ability to play two-man, a two-way game. So he's not a liability. He brings the athleticism and the size to the floor for San Antonio as a guard. Now, with breaking the size and being a great and still developing two-way guy, comes bringing hell to the opposing team's ball handler with ease. No fearing, full energy. I'm going to use my chest. I'm going to throw you off your driving line. I'm going to force you to reset your play. You got 24 seconds. It ticked down to 16. You better get it moving. Oh, yeah, 24 seconds. It ticked down to 10. You better get it moving. You have to think about when they got to bring the ball up, Even if Castle gets hit with, that same memo where he has to hustle to keep up with the pace of, your drive downhill, he can keep himself square. He's got great balance, great feet work, stop on a dime, go up with the length and his bounce to contest your shot. Folks, the dude's a hell of a player. Is Stephon Castle a future All-NBA guard? Let me know what you think.